Hello and welcome back to RC Truth Media, where I am detailing the events that are happening globally regarding this grand solar minimum, where our sun is less active. The shield that protects us around our Earth is also less active, which is going to make these weather events, these weather phenomenon that is crazy, like the hurricanes, like the earthquakes, the volcanoes, the lightning events, the flooding, all this stuff is set to increase because we are in the grand solar minimum. Let's go ahead and show you some current events that are happening. Right now, in the mainstream media, it seems like they're going further and further towards the truth, further to the left. Okay, and it seems like they died in 2017. People stopped believing their lies, really, because of the whole Trump thing. They colluded with Russia. They just went way overboard in 2017. Now they're trying to link higher temperatures to suicide in the United States and Mexico. They're linking it, this whole climate change. They're trying to get fundings. Okay, if you go down and you look at the UN models, and versus actual models. This is data that we get from balloon databases, and this is the models that the UN uses from computer-generated biased information models, okay, that are totally non-relevant from the truth, what's actually going on. As you can see, we have not actually been in any global warming since 2000, so this is 20 years with no global warming. Alright, and yet again, the UN, and along with all the other liberal organizations, are completely trying to bring the populace further from the truth with all of this bull. So do not believe the mainstream media. You should subscribe to this channel right now and hit that bell if you haven't already, so that way you get all the latest updated videos that I have. Okay, next article. This is coming from www.usatoday.com, and it's detailing what's happening in the East Coast right now. They're having storms like no other. You know, it's just rain over torrential rain. You can see all these spots here where flights have been canceled. Thousands of flights have been canceled or delayed. And this is going to definitely cause some flooding. Already we have floods going on. It says already since Sunday about 3,015 flights have been canceled nationwide and a whopping 19,740 delayed. The majority of those disruptions stem from stormy weather in the east, where airports in New York, Philadelphia, Washington, Baltimore, Boston, Charlotte, and Orlando were among the many with spikes in delays and cancellations during the period. For Tuesday, which is today, airports from the Carolinas into New England were at risk for storm delays for the third day in a row. The storms will be of the hit and miss variety, but they could create significant problems where and when they pop up. Long lines of storms can block flight paths, presenting an especially troublesome scenario in the mid-Atlantic and the Northeast. And this is supposed to continue for the next couple weeks, and we'll keep you updated on the flooding and thunderstorms and things that happen on the East Coast. We have seen on the West Coast some earthquakes today, and these earthquakes was off the Pacific West Coast on Oregon's Gold Beach. It was a 5.2 in magnitude, and there was a bunch of them right by each other. And it says right here, the United States Geological Survey reported a cluster of earthquakes with the preliminary magnitudes of at least 4.2 striking off the coast of California. The first quake hit at 5:16 a.m. Pacific time, and then a series of 4 more were recorded between 7:28 and 7:44 a.m. The largest was a 5.6. The quakes were all centered well off the coast of Del Norte County, near the Oregon border, making it unlikely that they caused major damage on land, though but USGS mapping suggests some coastal residents may have felt mild shakes. There was no threat of tsunami as a result of the earthquakes. But what is a threat is these tremors could set off a big earthquake that everybody already knows about along the San Andreas fault line. Okay, and there's also, this fault line is huge. This right here is from SOT.net. It says tremors nudge Washington state westward, offering clues into the next big earthquake. Alright. The Pacific Northwest last saw a big earthquake about 300 years ago. Scientists widely expect the region to experience a similar event every 500 years on average, and thousands of tiny tremors over the past few months have moved parts of Washington and the Vancouver Island westward. It's a near-annual event that backs expectations by some scientists that a big earthquake may hit the Seattle area harder than previously models suggested. This recent wave of activity began in May and appears to be dying off now, according to University of Washington Earth Sciences professor. It's a process known as episodic tremor and slip, thought to increase stress on locked faults, areas where tectonic plates cannot move past each other. Earthquakes occur when the pressure on locked zones reaches the breaking point and the plates snap past each other. Scientists believe an episode of tremors could someday trigger a so-called Megaquake on the offshore fault called the Cascadia subduction zone. The 700-mile-long fault runs from the Vancouver Island to northern California and can unleash earthquakes of up to a magnitude of 9.0. It's one of the biggest of faults in the U.S. So those of you, including myself, who are in this area, okay, I'm in Central California, but if this happened, it would definitely affect where I'm at. This is going to happen. You know, if it's not tomorrow, it's going to happen in the next couple hundred years. And the likelihood of it happening in the near future is pretty good considering what's happening with all these global events taking place. Okay, so I'll just leave you with that to think about, and I'll leave a link so you can check this out as well. Now, globally, what happened in Greece? There's a Greek fire that was so devastating, and this was yesterday. On Tuesday, the devastation was complete. Much of Mati, the seaside resort in the center of Greece's worst wildfires in more than a decade, was no more. Look at this destruction right here. It says, in the inferno it had been rendered lifeless. Its streets were turned into carpets of ash, its buildings blackened, its cars morphed into carcasses of steel, some piled one on top of the other, testimony to the terror that had descended on the community on Monday afternoon. Gale-force winds had fanned flames as high as walls that had gobbled up the village. And then there were the dead. By midday on Tuesday, an official death toll of 60 had been announced. With rescue workers going door to door and car to car finding bodies, there is almost certainly more. When many had hoped would be the best escape from the flames and smoke, the sea had instead become a route to death. Charred bodies were plucked from the water or found on beaches. Man, says this one guy, his name was Nikos Stavronis, one of more than 700 survivors to be rescued by a flotilla of Coast Guard vessels, fishing boats and private craft, told how the winds had fanned the flames and whipped up the seas, disorienting those who had rushed into the ocean when there was nowhere else to run. It's terrible to see the person next to you drowning and not to be able to help, he said. Yeah, this is a sad story. I'll just go ahead and leave a link below if you want to research this. But, you know, these are the type of things that are happening worldwide, and expect this to increase during the next few years, definitely. So I hope you got something out of coming to the channel today. Please hit that like button, because that does bring these videos up so other people can see them as well. I do have a lot of important information to get out. Thanks a lot for coming to the channel, and I'll see you again tomorrow.